So when your cats don't let you sleep the night before, but you still want something delicious for dinner,
And you only have a couple hours until you get to play Dungeons and Dragons.
it's time for
Black Bean Burritos.
Now, this is a really easy recipe, and we're going to show you step by step how to make it.
And when we say the cats didn't let us sleep the night before, I'm serious. This almost didn't happen today because I have a headache. I'm not feeling it, but I'm gonna do the best I can. Okay, so let's get started. So I like to make a corn relish to go inside these burritos, and it's really, really good. But let's start with half a jalapeno.
As you can see, we have half a jalapeno.
Because we made this just the other day. And what I do with the jalapeno is I use the handle, also known as the stem, and I'll cut grooves. But I'm going to do it on this half, even though I did it on the other half too. I just kind of cut straight in, move a little bit, cut in. I'm looking for small chunks, in other words. And I don't mind seeds. It's only half a jalapeno. I mean, you can use a whole jalapeno if you really want to. I'm going to make them a little smaller. Okay. But when you have the whole jalapeno, you just go out here and then you do the same thing that I'm doing now. You chop it up. But the handle keeps you from getting it all over your hands so that you can still do things that you might need your hands for without burning things. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. Girls too. I guess it would be just as painful for either one. I don't think it has a preference. But I'm trying not to touch them, see?
So we have our bowl and we have our scraper. So again, we don't have to touch those pesky jalapenos.
Yeah, and I'm just... Oh, you're gonna scrape them?
This is gonna be a joint effort here.
Okay. I was gonna leave them until we got to the other parts, but it's all right. I'm trying to get more of the jalapeno.
Oh.
There's
Every
you know,
little
you
bit.
got to get every little bit. You paid for that jalapeno. You deserve every bit of capsaicin that's in there. Next.
Onion.
I'm going to use just like a quarter of an onion. You don't want the skins,
You
though.
don't want the
No skins. Just the onion. And same concept. I mean, I'm just going to chop it up really, really fine. So I'm just being very careful with my fingers so that I end up with the same number that I started with. Very thin little slices across, and then chop. I also recommend standing up when you're doing this. It's probably a little bit easier, or have a chair that's higher than the table.
It's easier to have control over your appendages.
And you can see what you're doing, you know. We just go through this to make it interesting for you guys. It's my story and I'm sticking to it.
We're trying to keep it a blood-free zone, however.
Yes. And I want them to be a little smaller than that. They're kind of
You
chunky.
need more small?
More small. More small.
More small. I think the lack of sleep has affected
Oh,
our...
we're going to be punchy in this
our
one. I'll
cognitive-
just warn you right now. I'm hoping that you folks that are watching, if you've watched any of our others, appreciate the slightly different style of video that we're doing now, where the two of us are there trying to be a little bit more,
personality.
yeah, that, you know, add a little humor to things. Oh, by the way, this is a red bell pepper, and I'm just going to use like a fourth of it. You don't need a lot. I'm just making 2 burritos, you know? We're not like feeding an army or something. But if I was, I'd use more. And for these, I don't really want seeds. I mean, they don't really matter, but, you know, I don't really know. And again, I'm going to slice them very, very thin so that I can chop them up into small bits.
FYI, a red bell pepper is at its full maturity, so you can save those seeds and try to sprout them.
You can try. Depending on where you live, it might work.
Yeah.
And if they irradiated your peppers or not.
Yeah.
Also, FYI, a red bell pepper actually has more vitamin C than the other colors, and it contains more of the things that make it anti-inflammatory, the word that I can't think of right now. Same thing that's in blueberries.
Oh, antioxidants?
Yeah, that word. That wasn't actually the word, but it's close enough. And I like this to be finely diced, again, just like everything else, because that way it, when you put it in the burrito, it doesn't feel like you got a big hunkin' chunk of onion or
Also,
things like
this
that.
is going in with corn, so
Yeah.
you know how big corn kernels are.
Small
You
corn
want them
kernels
to
are.
be basically the same size.
Right, exactly.
Now is the garlic going in this?
Garlic goes in this too.
And we're just doing 1 clove?
I have 2 over there.
Is it hiding?
It's hiding.
It's hiding!
Yeah, and same with the garlic. But with the garlic, I get ready because the table's going to bounce. I just give it a good smash and then chop it up. Again, watch your fingers. I'm really brave until I get really close to my finger. Then I slow down. See? Really fast. Then slow. Because I have cut myself cutting garlic. More than any other thing that I have cut.
I think the worst cut I did was slicing a shallot.
Yep. Was that the one that I was here for? Or was that before me?
No, that was before you.
Oh, I got it. It's done.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And you want, so we have 1/2 cup of frozen corn.
Yep. Throw it in there.
Easy peasy.
And the next part we're going to do at the stove because that little burner that couldn't anymore. It just kind of doesn't work very well. We learned that the hard way. So we're going to use the stove like I always told everybody to do anyway. Okay, so over at the stove, I have my cast iron pan on pretty much a little bit above medium heat. It's like 5 3/4 out of 10. And into that, I'm just going to put our mix. You should hear some sizzle. If you don't hear sizzle, turn the heat up a little bit. I like to preheat the pan though, that way things don't stick as much. And then just move it around a little. And I let this cook until everything is nice and soft. It doesn't actually take very long, but we need a little seasoning on this. So I'm going to add some oregano. Not much, maybe like a teaspoon or so. And of course, fresh cracked black pepper. Probably 1/2 teaspoon or so. And then of course, mix that through too. Now, I'm going to turn it down a little. Looks like it might be a little too high for this. And we're going to move on to the next step. So that means I'm going to move this over to another burner. And bring in another cast iron pan. And this one is the beans. We're using Cooners. These are no salt added black beans. We get them on Amazon. These are fantastic. 5 milligrams of salt in a 1/2 cup. I mean, come on, that's amazing. Okay, I have an open can of black beans. I didn't drain them. This is important. The whole thing, every bit of it goes into that pan. There was 1 bean in the bottom. And I have this on 3 to 4 out of 10. So not too hot, just hot enough. Keep stirring the corn relish, otherwise it'll burn. That's this. See? Looking really good. I'm going to turn it down some more. Our beans. We want some chili powder. Just any old chili powder works. If you want to use something smoky, you can. I'm just using a regular dark chili powder. It's not really spicy at all. Probably about a tablespoon or so. Some cumin, or cumin, however you say it. About the same amount, like roughly a tablespoon or so. And more fresh cracked black pepper. And just because, how about a little more oregano? Teaspoon or so. Stir to combine. This will actually start to bubble and boil a little. At that point, you want to just kind of control the heat so that it stays bubbling, but doesn't like burn, okay? I just give it a stir every couple of minutes. Eventually, all that liquid gets soaked up and the beans have their own sauce. This is my secret trick for making black beans, or any beans for that matter. I've done it with kidney beans. I've done it with pinto beans. I have not actually tried this with garbanzo beans because I haven't found a use that I need them that way yet, but I'm sure it would work for those too. Okay, so this is just going to take a few minutes and we'll be back once they're ready. Okay, so as you can see, our corn relish is looking really good. Everything's softened up nicely. It's pretty much what you would call done. You start seeing things stick to the bottom, move everything around a little bit. There's still plenty of moisture in this pan, so nothing should stick. If you do start to stick too much, you can just add a little veggie broth or just, like a tablespoon of water at a time, just to cool that pan down and keep things from sticking. So because this is pretty much done, I'm just gonna move it off the burner completely, put it to the side. Okay, now we're back to our beans, which are starting to cook a little bit. This is kind of what we're looking for. We want a little bit of a bubble. I have it turned up to about 5 now on my stove. It just takes, 10 or 15 minutes or so. Once the beans get boiling, make sure you keep them moving around. Don't burn your beans. That would be bad. All right, looks like our beans are pretty well done. I don't want them to get much more dry than that because then it dries out the entire burrito, and you know, nobody likes a dry burrito. So I'm just gonna put these in bowls, bring them over to the table, and we'll start putting them together. Okay, we have our ingredients for our burrito, most of them. There's still a couple to come. And now we need our tortillas. We actually like these Olay Extreme Wellness ones, but any large tortilla that you can find is gonna work great for this. These are just super high fiber, so that's why we like them. They just work really great. I let them sit out at room temperature for a little while before I start to assemble. That helps them be a little more pliable. Because, see?
That was the gesture for...
That's
the universal
symbol for pliable. Gotcha. All right, I actually don't need the knife anymore.
Okay.
So, what you want to do when you're assembling your burrito is you take some of your beans, you put them in the lower third. See how close I am to that edge? I'm going to go, I could probably put half these beans in here. You don't want to overstuff because, you know, an overstuffed burrito just gets messy and nasty and falls apart, and nobody wants that. And then take some of your corn relish. Doesn't that look awesome? And put it on top. Now, somebody's going to ask me why I didn't put rice in here. Well, because there's no room. That's why. And the corn relish takes up the space of the rice, and it's, you know, it's a grain-ish type of thing. It's a starchy food, so it works. Okay. That's about as much as you want to put in here, because any more than that, it's not going to work real well for the next step, which I showed this in another video. We did Let's Wrap, where you just fold them over like that, then I grab the top, and with your fingers, you just start curling it all together nicely. And when you get up there, push that back in. We gotta get everything in there. And I just start to pull it back a little bit, add a little tension to it. Get in there. That one piece doesn't want to go.
Get in your home.
Yeah. You too good for your home? Okay. Then just keep wrapping it over and wrapping it over. Push it all together, roll it, and voila, you have a burrito. Now I'm just going to set that to the side for a moment and make the second one. This one I'm not going to talk through. I'm just going to fast forward so you'll get to hear some music. By the way, I'd like to point out this recipe makes exactly enough for 2 burritos and a chef snack. Ooh, that's good. A little spicy, not too much. Good. All right. And with the rolling. And now, for my most secret trick ever. Back to the stove. Okay, back over at the stove, I have a cast iron pan, a dry pan, on about 5. It's been preheating, so this thing's up to like 400 degrees. I also have a burger press. This is one of my new favorite tools. You'll see why I love it in just a second. And we have our burritos. Let's get them into that pan. I put seam side down so that they seal properly. And then get the burger press. Just gently place it on top. I don't push down too hard, just maybe a slight amount of pressure. Makes a nice toasty outside, a little crispiness to it. And if your ingredients had cooled down a little bit, this heats them right back up. You will also want a metal spatula. Kind of important, just in case something sticks to the pan, but usually they don't. Keep in mind, there's been no oil used in this entire recipe. Okay, after just a couple of minutes, I want to get in here and take a look. Just kind of set it free if you can. Get that spatula up. Oh, there we go. Came free. And we got some color. That's beautiful. That's what we want right there. Flip this guy over too. And hit him with the burger press one more time. And after just a couple of minutes on that side, I just want to look at them to make sure that we got color on both sides now. Oh yeah. Beautiful. Loosen that up. Perfect. And now we plate. Okay, our burritos are good to go.
But of course, we're not going to stop there.
No, what kind of cooking show would we be if we just served you plain burritos just like that? No, we're going to make a sauce. So let me get these out of the way for a minute. Okay.
So what sauce are we making, Brian?
We are making a cashew sour cream.
So to make that, you need cashews.
1 cup of cashews. And you want to use, we're using organic whole cashews, but they just want to be unsalted and unroasted. The whole raw cashew thing is kind of a misnomer because you can't actually buy raw cashews. They actually have to be somewhat cooked. So unroasted is the term. That's almost a cup. I just need a couple more because that kind of wasn't enough. And then chef snack. Okay, and this is where, just bear with me, I kind of eyeball most of this. So onion powder, we're going to put in about a teaspoon or so. Garlic powder, same. Now, you can leave them out, but here's the thing. If you do that and you try to make this, you're going to end up with something that tastes a lot more sweet than you might want it to. So that's why they're important. Lemon juice, fresh squeezed if you got it, or this stuff is totally fine. I'm going to use close to a tablespoon of lemon juice because we like it a little sour. And then apple cider vinegar. Bragg's is like the only brand of apple cider vinegar that I will use. So, but if you don't have it, it's okay. Homemade is good too. And I'm going to use probably a couple teaspoons of this. Not a lot. I don't like to be one of those. I don't like to be one of those cooks that says, "Oh, 1 tablespoon," and you're like putting in half a gallon. I don't like to do that. All right. Ooh, I forgot one thing. Nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast. We keep it in a basil leaves container because it's convenient and it has a shaker top.
But obviously, it's not basil.
Yeah, but it's not basil. And I'm just going to use probably about a tablespoon for this amount. This makes quite a bit, so don't worry about it. And then water. Now, here's the thing. I have half a cup of water here. I may not need the whole thing. So I'm going to start with half of the half cup, which is about a quarter cup. And if that's all I need, that's all I need. But the trick is when you put it on the blender, you want to get this super smooth. I usually end up putting it on high for a full minute with a Vitamix. If I didn't have a Vitamix, I would have boiled these cashews for like 15 minutes before using them, or soak them overnight, or however you get there is all fine. Throw that water away though, because you don't want that water. You want fresh water when you do this. And just get it as smooth as you possibly can. Once I get it blending, I want it to go for a full minute. Scrape down the sides and all that kind of thing. Full minute. Be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, it's smooth, but check this out. Look at that. Beautiful texture.
Nice and thick.
And it tastes amazing. I actually tested it.
So show them how much water you didn't use.
I didn't use just under 2 ounces of that water. So I used 3/4 of a half cup of water. 6 ounces. No. Wow, I used just over 2 ounces.
Okay.
Yeah, so I used just over 2 ounces. Okay.
So at this point, you can basically top your burrito however you choose. We're going to show you how Brian likes to do it.
Yes, which means I need that green thing over there and the sharp thing next to it.
So the green thing is an avocado. Of course, we are in the mystery zone of, is this avocado ripe or not?
Yep.
We don't know.
We'll find out.
I'm thinking maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. I was very cautious in the cutting.
Because of your hand.
Yeah. I like my fingers and my hands the way they are, I don't
It's a good idea to be cautious.
Yeah. I don't know if I went all the way through. Let's find out. What come off? Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it looks like maybe it's not truly ripe, but it's ripe enough for these purposes.
That's right.
Now you have to think conceptually layers of design. Do you want white and red and green? Do you want green and red and white? What kind of color profile are you going for the toppings of your burrito?
She's putting way too much thought
Brian
into
doesn't
this.
care. Brian just wants it to be yummy,
Yep.
which, ultimately that is the goal.
And all I do is I just put some slices into that, go around it with the knife, something like that. Try not to cut the skin too much because nobody wants to eat skin.
At this point, you can use a butter knife because you won't have to worry about...
Or a spoon. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I was trying not to interrupt the flow of the video and get up and get stuff. I just wanted it to go well. Yeah, these are a little bit on the not quite ripe part yet.
They're al dente.
But they'll do the job. They'll do the job. It's not bad. It's coming out of the skin all right.
All right.
It's not pretty. I don't do pretty. Derica does the pretty thing. I just put the food on the plate.
All right, what do you want next? You want salsa or sour cream next?
I think salsa, then sour cream. What do you think?
All right, so we're cheating and we're using store-bought salsa.
Yeah, this is like the only reason we go to Walmart.
To get the big things
of paste chunky salsa. You can use whatever salsa you like.
We go through salsa so quickly.
Yeah.
Those little cans, that's like one sitting for us. So We need it big.
Oh, look at that. Where's the lid?
And that's why when I make salsa, I make a big batch.
And then, now, I know I could get a squeezy bottle and be all fancy and stuff. I like I said, I don't do fancy. So I'm just going to put a couple of dollops on top of this. You can do more if you want to. It's okay. I'm not going to, like, we're not the burrito police or anything around here. But,
And just because I know this is Brian's burrito, we're going to add a final ingredient, and that is...
French Red Hot.
It's Brian's favorite
I
sauce.
love this hot sauce.
And I think a little dash of that on top. Look at that. It just gives it an additional pop of color.
Yeah.
And that additional spiciness.
All I need now is a fork and a knife. The biggest question I have, do I cut the end or the middle? I think I'll cut the middle. I'm going to eat the whole thing eventually anyway.
This is dinner.
That's right. Yeah, we don't waste the food that we make here. We actually usually make one version of everything, and we eat that for dinner that day. That is looking really, really good. Okay, time to get a bite. I'm going to set you up with a bite here, babe. Get you some corn stuff. A little avocado. And that...
It's just not cooperating. That's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good.
Trying to get you the perfect bite.
It's fine.
Go ahead.
Ah.
Oh, I'm feeding you too? Okay. I didn't know I was feeding her. We haven't done that in a long time. So I'm going to wait to put this in my mouth until you can talk, because both of us just sitting there chewing is not good TV.
So the things I love about this particular combination of the beans and the corn relish is that corn relish, even though it's cooked, it has a lovely, bright freshness to it. So the beans have this really creamy, almost smoky sensation, even though we didn't add any smoke element to this. And that sauce of using their own juice, if you will, was delightful. You saw how easy it was for Brian to make that. It tastes like something...
It takes 10 or 15 minutes.
But it tastes like something that he labored intensely over.
Works great for tacos, too.
Yeah.
Just saying, or like bowls and stuff. That's how we do black beans.
That sour cream, it's
got enough tang to it.
It's yummy. Isn't it an exact replicant of sour
No.
cream? No, but it has all the elements of sour cream that you're looking for that really enhances it. So it has the tart tanginess, it has the rich creaminess, and it has that
like cooling sensation?
Yeah. Ideally, you'd want to make the sour cream ahead of time and keep it in your refrigerator.
Yeah. And it also keeps well in the fridge. You can use this for a lot of things.
Yeah.
We use it as a sour cream / mayo. And if you add a little hot sauce to it, it works great as a dip for almost anything.
Yes.
But let's talk about storage options on these now. Before you top it with all the stuff, after you press it and cook it and all that, you can freeze these. You can actually freeze it before you press it if you want to. I prefer to freeze it afterwards and then just throw them in the like in the air fryer or throw them in the oven for a couple of minutes, or just back in the pan for a few minutes after they've defrosted to re-crisp them up.
Right. So wrap them up real good in parchment paper and then wrap that further in like tinfoil or something. And that's going to help limit any freeze burn.
But they'll also keep in the fridge for several days. Just be careful, because sometimes the tortillas can get a little bit soft and they can start to fall apart. So that's why I'd rather freeze it right away than refrigerate it.
Of course, you can just make each ingredient separately.
And make them as you want.
Yep.
We do that with tacos a lot because the burrito is a little bit more, involved to put together. But the ingredients are really the secret here. That's what we were trying to show you. How to make the sauce, how to do the beans. And then that relish is just unbelievable.
And the pressing of the wrap,
The pressing is amazing.
It's those little details that really make something extra special.
Absolutely. And now we're just babbling. So I'm just going to say thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on
The Bistro.